Hey everybody, I'm Mike, and this is Mike Miller Talks Life. Today, the best question ever. This is the title of a small book by Andy Stanley. I really like Andy Stanley. I like hearing him talk. He's a pastor of a large church, and he's just a great speaker, and I just love his practical approach to life. And I really enjoyed this book. At first, I thought he was being a little presumptuous to claim to have the best question ever. I've heard a lot of good questions, so it'd be hard to figure out what's the best question. But I think when it comes to making decisions, this is probably the best kind of question, or the best question. We all have questions about what we should do. Buy this car, buy this house, date this person, take this job, hang out with this group of people, marry this person, go to that school. And we can become bogged down in trying to make these decisions, and it gets kind of complicated. Christians, which I'm a born-again Christian, a follower of Jesus Christ, can take these kinds of decisions to a whole nother level because the pressure on us, which is not on non-believers, is we want to do God's will. We want to do what He wants us to do. And so this makes decision-making more complicated. But the question Andy poses to us is something that applies to everybody, and it helps everybody make better choices. It works in every decision that you'll ever have to make for the rest of your life. It is a question that is easy to answer because in most cases we'll know the answer immediately. It will push us to be honest with ourselves. And it's a question that pierces the fog of self-deception. Self-deception comes kind of naturally to all of us. We can make a bad, foolish decision look pretty good. Like a bad financial decision can sound like the deal of a lifetime. Every kind of addiction begins with self-deception. We begin to say things like just this once, or just on the weekends, or just when I'm with these friends, or just when I need a little boost, I'm about to do something that is kind of hard. And before we know it, we're locked into something. Or we can deceive ourselves when it comes to relationships. I mean, we think, hey, this person's pretty nice. They got some problems, and some of them are pretty red flags, but I'm really sure I can help them change. So, and that's a big mistake. Self-deception leads to regret, and many people live their life with many regrets. Regret-free living is found on the path of wisdom, and the path of wisdom is found when we develop the habit of asking ourselves the best question ever. Many of the regrets we have could have been avoided if we would have asked this question and acted on the conclusions that it brings to us. It's not always easy to ask a question like this. It can feel threatening because it exposes our heart and our motives. But it is important for us because it helps us avoid self-deception. It will force us to get real and honest with ourselves. The question Andy has is simply, what is the wise thing to do? It's based on the writings of Paul, when Paul encourages people who are Christian to be wise, not foolish. Time is short. Make wise decisions about your life. So Andy just says, learns to ask, what is the wise thing to do? In light of my past experience, current circumstances, future hopes and dreams, what is the wise thing to do? He's just taken a basic question, what's the wise thing to do? And he's amplified it to include our whole life and examine the issue in light of who we are, in light of my past experiences, current circumstances, future hopes and dreams. What's the wise thing to do? And we can apply this question to all areas of our life, the major areas, but also the small ones. And it helps us make better choices and helps us avoid bad choices that fill us with regret. Our past experiences, the things that we have been through to get to this point. It could be good experiences, bad experiences, painful lessons, hurts, failures, family experiences, the development of us and our personality. All of that is what our past experiences include. Current circumstances, the stuff I'm currently facing in my current life, relationship trouble, financial problems, emotional traumas. It could be that you're retired now. It could be that you're in between jobs. Anything that's going on right now in your life. My future hopes and dreams. We all have future hopes and dreams. I want to accomplish this. I want to get here. I want to get this degree and do this with it. We all have that. There's nothing wrong with having that. So when you think about your life, you realize that your life is made up of your past experiences, your current circumstances, and your future hopes and dreams. That's everybody. So Andy is just simply saying, in light of these, what's the wise thing to do? What's the wise thing to do financially? What's the wise thing to do relationally? What's the wise thing to do morally, professionally, or academically, and spiritually? This is wise because you're thinking clearly about you, and you're thinking about what is the wise thing for you to do. It may not be the same for everybody, but it's the right thing for you, or it's the wrong thing for you. And it's not just about deciding this is what I want to do, or this would be the most fun, or this would satisfy my desires, or this would make that person happy with me. But what is the actual wise thing for you to do? What will take you where you want to go? What is going to cause the least amount of regret, or what is going to cause damage and regret? That's what you're thinking about. There's nothing wrong with making a fun choice. There's nothing wrong with choosing what you want, but we're looking at learning to make wise choices, not just impulsive. And when we start approaching life choices this way, we will grow in wisdom because of experience. Wisdom is learned by the choices we make. So the question kind of pushes us to get to know ourselves, to understand us, to be aware of our weaknesses and strengths. It helps us to avoid choices that are bad for us. They may not be bad for everybody, but they're not the right thing for you. And it may be not the right thing for you right now. And that's what this question helps us learn to do. Helps us learn that our life is the result of our choices, and we can make good choices. I think sometimes Christians are asking God to show them the way, tell them what to do, make the right path obvious. And in reality, He wants us to learn to think about ourselves and make wise choices. So, should I buy this expensive new car? It costs a lot. Well, in light of your past experiences, current circumstances, future hopes and dreams, what's the wise thing for you to do? You just got out of debt because of spending too much. And you knew you didn't want to get into that kind of bondage again. You had plans to do some pretty cool, exciting things, and all of those will be put on hold for a while until you can pay this off. So what's the wise thing for you to do? Right now, money is kind of tight for you. You can make the payment, but it leaves no wiggle room at all. What's the wise thing to do? Do you see how it works? You have been hanging around with some people, and they're fun people. They're nice, and you're doing more and more things with them, and you enjoy them. And one day they invite you to a party that they're going to, and it's going to be a fun time. And as they're talking about it, you realize that there's going to be drinking and drugs at the party. What should you do? Well, in light of your past experiences, current circumstances, future hopes and dreams, what's the wise thing for you to do? Well, your past experiences, you have been clean and sober for 2 years. You know you're in school and you have a dream to do something with your life, and you're making progress. And you know that one slip could undo 2 years of hard work, as well as damage the trust people have put in you. And you can't take your hard-earned sobriety that lightly. So the wise thing to do is to say no thank you, and maybe stop spending so much time with this group. It's the wise thing for you to do. The last few relationships you've been in haven't gone well, and it's been 2 years since you've gone through a major breakup, and you're doing okay, but you're still pretty fragile. And a new relationship is beginning, and you're kind of, I don't know what to do here. What's the wise thing to do in light of past experiences, current circumstances, future hopes and dreams? What's the wise thing to do? In light of your past experiences, maybe you need to try to learn why every relationship is not going well before you jump in a new one, because you want a new one to be a good one, because you really have a hope to have a family and have children and all the joys and benefits that come from that. So the wise thing to do would be to slow it down and begin to seriously work on you so you can make better choices. See, it's okay to make hard choices, and it's okay to not do what your friends are choosing if it's going to affect you negatively. And it's not restricting us, it's actually setting us free to do the wise thing so that our life is moving down the wise track. It builds you up, builds up your self-confidence, because you're making wise choices and you see the benefits. So the question really is not, is there anything wrong with this or right with this, but what is the wise thing to do? And that makes all the difference. Your marriage has been rocky, and you're making progress, and you're pretty excited about it. And your spouse says, I'd like for us to have a baby. What's the wise thing to do here? The reality is, babies bring a lot of stress and strain to a marriage, even a good, healthy, strong marriage. Is it wise to add stress to your marriage at this time? Do I take this job offer? Ask yourself the questions about what's the wise thing to do. In light of my past experiences, my current circumstances, my future hopes and dreams, what is the wise thing for me to do? I love the question. It's refreshing, it's thoughtful, it's practical. It helps you make decisions and not agonize trying to figure it out. And it's sort of a way to take charge of your life. I really recommend Andy Stanley's book, The Best Question Ever. He says much more about the question. He sort of fills in a lot of the blanks. But even more than that, I encourage you to begin asking yourself the best question ever. What is the wise thing to do? in light of my past experiences, my current circumstances, my future hopes and dreams, what is the wise thing for me to do? Hey, thanks so much for listening. I hope this is helpful. It's a little different, kind of a review of a book, but it's a good book, and I think it's worth reading. And even more than that, I think it's a good question, and it's worth using in your life. So thanks for listening. If you liked it, I hope you click like. And until next time, I hope you have a great week.